Kadrasov, and I will be your moderator today. Bonjour et bienvenue à cette disponibilité aux médias de la Service de police d'Ottawa. We are here today to discuss Project Top Shelf, the largest drug seizure in the Ottawa Police Service history. Nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour discuter l'opération Top Shelf, la plus importante saisie de drogue dans l'histoire de la Service de police d'Ottawa. This availability is being recorded and live streamed via YouTube. Cette disponibilité est enregistrée et diffusée en direct sur YouTube. We will now ask for Chief Eric Stubbs to enter the room, please. Chief Eric Stubbs will make a brief statement, followed by a question period with Deputy Chief Trish Ferguson and Superintendent Jamie Dunlop of the Serious and Organized Crime Directorate. Le chef Eric Stubbs fera une brève déclaration, suivie d'une période de questions avec le chef adjoint Trish Ferguson et le surintendant Jamie Dunlop de la Direction de la lutte contre le crime organisé et les crimes graves. Sir?
Good afternoon. We are here today to announce a significant development in our commitment to ensuring the safety and well-being of our community, with one of the largest drug seizures in the history of the Ottawa Police Service. This 10-month investigation resulted in the Ottawa Police Service Drug Unit arresting 2 individuals, seizing 40 kilograms of cocaine and 4 kilograms of crack cocaine, along with over $100,000 in cash. The wholesale value of the drugs is approximately $1.5 million, and the retail street value of the drugs is approximately $4.5 million. Police arrested 2 men last evening. Shay Esprit, 35 years old, of Toronto. He's facing numerous drug-related charges that include conspiracy to traffic a Schedule I substance, as well as failure to stop and dangerous operation of a motor vehicle. Adrian Esquali Gonzalez, 33 years old, of Ottawa, is also facing similar drug-related charges. Investigators continue to review the evidence seized. The Provincial Asset Forfeiture Unit is involved and are reviewing the seizures of bulk currency and other crime-related property. This is a significant seizure that disrupts a criminal network and supply chain that feeds addiction, violence, and the criminal activity that we often see associated with the drug trade. I want to thank all of the officers involved who spent many hours planning and executing this large-scale project and complex investigation. I also extend my sincere gratitude to the Toronto Police Service, CBSA, and the RCMP for their invaluable assistance throughout this investigation. Collaboration is at the core of our strategy, and their support played a pivotal role in dismantling this criminal network. You may have read a release by the RCMP 2 days ago where they seized a significant amount of cocaine at a residence in Ottawa. That is 2 separate drug organizations that have been disrupted in the last week by police working together for this community. Our investigation is continuing and additional arrests and charges are anticipated. We remain committed to working together with all our partners and the community to create a safer Ottawa for all. If you suspect drug trafficking activity in your area, please contact police or report it online. Anonymous tips can be submitted by calling Crime Stoppers toll-free at 1-800-222-8477 or at crimestoppers.ca. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. We will now go on to the question period with media, including Deputy Chief Trish Ferguson and Superintendent Jamie Dunlop. Members of the media will be called upon and may ask 1 question. Les membres des médias seront appelés et pourront poser une question. Once we enter the question period, we ask that members of the media speak loud enough that our microphones can pick up the audio. Une fois la période des questions commence, nous demandons aux membres de la média de parler à une voix suffisamment forte pour que nos microphones puissent capter le son. We will now begin with Charles-Antoine Gagnon, Le Droit. Charles-Antoine, go ahead.
What's the value of the drug seized?
So the wholesale value is approximately $1.5 million. The retail or street value is approximately $4.5 million.
And you say it's the biggest drug bust or one of the biggest?
One of the biggest drug busts in Ottawa Police Service history, yes.
What would be the biggest?
Well, we think this may be.
Vous pouvez aussi poser votre question en français et le chat adjoint Trish Ferguson pourra vous répondre. We'll now move on to Jean Delisle with CBC Radio-Canada or Nelly Alberola.
Oui, moi, je vais poser ma question pour Radio-Canada en français. Vous avez parlé de 10 mois d'investigation, d'enquête et de l'opération donc Top Chef. Est-ce que vous pouvez nous parler un petit peu plus de comment ça se passe justement cette investigation, 10 mois, puis cette opération Top Chef? C'est quoi exactement?
Merci pour la question. Alors, on a commencé, comme ça a été dit, février 2023. Et puis, c'est quelque chose qu'on commence avec un petit peu d'information et puis les enquêteurs travaillent avec cette information. Et c'est pour ça que ça prend aussi temps que ça prend. Les détails et puis les techniques qui ont été utilisées, je ne suis pas capable de vous dire ça aujourd'hui, mais pour dire que ça aurait pu prendre plus de temps, mais écoute, ça finit quand ça finit, puis on est très content du travail des enquêteurs là-dessus.
Can I have the answer in English as well, please?
Sure, yes. Just saying that this started in February 2023, and we were these investigations always start with information that investigators work with, and over the course of the 10 months, we're able to come up with a number of subjects and techniques that they were able to use, which I'm not able to share today. It's obviously before the courts, but we're obviously very pleased with the way it ended. It could have gone for a little bit longer, but it ended the way it did yesterday, and we're very pleased with the results.
On a effectivement parlé d'une récente saisie aussi hier ou avant-hier, il y a quelques jours, qui était donc distincte de celle-ci. Est-ce que ça veut dire que vous voyez de plus en plus en fait de trafic de drogue à Ottawa ou non, c'est arrivé tout en même temps?
Je pense que c'est arrivé en même temps, mais les deux sont significants de drogue ici à Ottawa. Alors, on voit, ça nous concerne un petit peu le montant qu'on a saisi, mais je pense que c'est une histoire de bonne nouvelle.
Okay. I was asking for my colleague from CBC as well, the same, can I have the same answer? I was asking, is it like, do we see the increase? Sorry.
So, yeah, we've seen 2 significant seizures this past week. I think the timing is such that it's indicating that drugs are a problem in our streets, and our officers are dealing with them from the front line right through to our investigative sections. A significant amount of drugs. In terms of whether we're seeing a vast increase, it's hard to say at this point in time, but it's obviously something that we deal with regularly. Thanks, Trevor. Okay.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. We'll now move on to Ken Warren with Ottawa Citizen. Ken, do you have a question?
Just in terms of the scope with officers, like how many OPS officers would have been in this, and then in addition, obviously, Councilor Anderson?
Yeah, so the project itself started with pretty much an entire directorate effort from the Serious and Organized Crime Director, which you're talking about criminal intelligence, you're talking about the drug unit, guns and gangs, surveillance, things of that nature. So at any given time, you're talking about a significant amount of resources. So to narrow down how many, like by a number, just within the Ottawa Police and the actual project team, that could be around 10 officers there, easy, plus the assistance of your technical surveillance, things of that, easily get up over 20, 30. It takes a lot of resources. One thing I will say, projects like this takes a lot of resources just to get to where it is, and a lot of dedication on the officers because there's a lot of travel, as you can tell, it's across the province. And one thing these seizures are beginning to show us, you talked about the RCMP seizure recently, where we assisted them, the assistance we get down in Toronto. This battle, if you will, in order to investigate organized crime, including, for example, organized auto theft, it's going to require police services directly working cooperate with each other, sharing intelligence and sharing resources, especially with the shortages everybody has. You have to tap into each other sometimes for specialties. We get asked because we maintain a specialty in one area, whereas we might turn to the RCMP because we need some help in another area that we no longer possess or still working on. So it takes a significant amount of resources for these type of occurrences to be brought to a successful conclusion. So.
Thank you, Superintendent. We'll now move on to Natalie Van Roy with CTV News. Natalie, go ahead.
Hello, Chief. Were these individuals that have been charged, were they known to police? And if not, how did police become aware of these two?
Yeah, so these are, for example, we often hear that, are they known to police? These aren't somebody that we're coming across on a daily basis, your street level crimes or whatnot. These is without question a criminal organization type of investigation that is actually continuing in itself. So I'm not going to tell you how they became known to us in this type of area, because that is something that's still part of the investigation, as well as be going before the courts. But most certainly, when you're dealing with this type of level of organization and crime, a lot of people are hidden from police for a long time. It's the people selling on the street, things of that nature. So the amount of work that goes into identifying people at the top of an organization that's contributing this level of menace to a city, it takes a lot of work. So it's more often than not, you hear from the police and media releases about the street level arrests that we get in order to take down organized crime, what this is. It takes a lot of effort and work. So.
Do you know where these drugs were going? Were they mostly being trafficked in Ottawa? Or were they going to Toronto, Montreal?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It's the same, what we're seeing drugs, I just finished mentioning about the necessity of all the police services across Ontario working together. These drugs here were seized here in Ottawa. Doesn't mean all of it's always going to be here. I think there's storage, they use it, they transport it. Some of it can be destined, a lot of it's for Ottawa, obviously. But to say it's all here, what we're seeing is drugs can at any time can be in one location being transported to another. The networks are huge. So I would say most certainly the majority of the drugs we seize are likely for Ottawa, but we're watching this stuff travel all the way up north, in particular, Thunder Bay, things of that nature. Yeah.
Thank you, Superintendent. We'll now move on to Juliette Varin with TVA. Juliette?
Oui, ma question sera en français. Donc, peut-être répéter les chefs d'accusation auxquels font face les deux hommes qui ont été arrêtés dans cette affaire.
Oui, certainement. Alors, est-ce que tu veux les noms aussi ou juste les...
Oui, les noms, l'âge et les chefs d'accusation.
OK. Alors, chez Esprit, qui est âgé de 35 ans, qui vient de Toronto. Alors, les charges sont convoi visant le trafic d'une substance annexe 1, possession d'une substance de l'annexe 1 en vue de faire le trafic, 2 comptes pour ça, possession de biens criminellement obtenus, plus de 5 000, défaut de s'arrêter pour la police et conduite dangereuse. Adrien Escali Gonzalez, âgé de 33 ans, qui vient d'Ottawa. C'est complot visant le trafic d'une substance de l'annexe 1, possession d'une substance de l'annexe 1 en vue de faire le trafic, 2 fois aussi, et puis possession de biens criminellement obtenus, plus de 5 000.
Je vous ferai également répéter ce que votre collègue a dit en anglais, mais le nombre d'officiers qui ont dû être mobilisés pour cette opération.
Oui, alors, ce que le surintendant indiquait, c'est que pour quelque chose, un projet de ce magnitude, il y a beaucoup d'agents qui sont impliqués. Pour dire un nom spécifique, c'est difficile parce que à travers les 10 mois, il y a eu plus ou moins d'agents là-dessus. Mais c'est une demande significante pour nos ressources pour tomber ce que vous voyez aujourd'hui.
Thank you, Deputy. We'll now move on to David Fraser with CBC. David, go ahead.
Not to at all discount the hours of work that goes into this and what was confiscated and the arrests made. What should be the takeaway of a major police investigation, an investigation that's still going on, that there's only 2 arrests? Presumably there's other people still involved. What can you say about this?
Well, as we mentioned in our statement, that our investigation is still continuing, and we do anticipate more charges and potentially more arrests as well. But generally, in an organized crime, there are the leaders of that organization, and there's not very many of them. There's a lot of people underneath that will work and distribute, sell, and then of course the users. There's a lot of people within that organization. The quantity of people that are arrested isn't necessarily, this success. It is, who are you arresting? Are you arresting the top of the chain, the middle of the chain, or the bottom of the chain? And that is something that we're still investigating.
I'm also wondering, is there any indications that there's a connection to international organized crime in this?
Right. I'll let you take that. I know there always is, but.
In this particular, well,
Yeah.
yes, I mean, when you look at that level of cocaine, it's currently international, right? The project that we worked on with the RCMP recently, we saw shipping containers coming in, cocaine coming from Colombia, the drugs coming into Canada, guns coming into Canada, all that types across the borders. So there's always an international flavor, and we continue to work with international partners as well, as would happen with the RCMP file, working with the Colombian authorities, right? So where we can share information with other, be it the United States, be it other areas and other countries, we do and will, and allow other agencies to pick it up from a municipal police service perspective. We see this as a very successful collaboration and arrest, and to your point about the amount of people and to what the chief was speaking to, these are the individuals that provide the poison, the drugs into our communities, and the other people are obviously, like I said, those are the ones you see more often when we have a big drug announcement or arrest. Getting to this level of the organized crime is something that's rare, takes a lot of effort, but it's very important to send that message, because these are the individuals that are trying to legitimize themselves with profits from drugs.
Thank you, Superintendent. We do have a few more minutes. If anyone does have any follow-up questions, we will be allowing a few. Charles-Antoine?
En français, je me suis trompé tantôt. Vous avez une question? Deux questions rapides. Est-ce que c'est possible de savoir le montant en argent qu'on voit sur la table et le montant en drogue? Et l'autre chose, savez-vous d'où vient cette drogue-là? On a parlé de la Colombie tantôt. Et comment ça a été traversé ici au Canada?
OK. Je pense que je vais être capable de dire en tant que le montant équivalent pour les drogues, c'est 1,5 million. Si ça aurait été vendu sur la rue, ce serait 4,5 millions la valeur. Money? L'argent, oui. Non, on n'a pas le compte final là-dessus. Et puis, en tant que où ça vient, c'est encore un petit peu, c'est tôt dans l'enquête, alors c'est difficile de dire tout de suite.
OK. Là, je suis pas sûr. Pour le moment, vous n'avez pas compté l'argent comptant qu'il y a là-dessus?
Non. Non.
C'est la machine.
Oui. Donne-moi 5 minutes, non.
Are there any other follow-up questions? Natalie, go ahead.
Do you know if these drugs led to any fatal overdoses within the community?
From these type of drugs, most certainly. Cocaine, certainly in Ottawa and across the nation, we're talking about fentanyl, we're talking about the opioid crisis, and understandably so for what we're seeing in the streets and from a health perspective. The reality is, and I have other experts in the room that confirm this, cocaine remains by far the #1 drug certainly used in Ottawa, in Ontario, and I'm going to guess across the country. Cocaine itself, does it contribute to overdoses? Of course it does. It's a very hazardous drug. What is it cut with? By the time it makes itself down to the clients on the street, fentanyl very well can be introduced to it at that time, or another agent or another drug. So any of these type of drugs that come in are most certainly responsible for overdoses and deaths on the street and all the damage that it does to our society. So without question, I have no doubt this is what we arrested the people with. They've been providing probably a lot more than, we know a lot more of this up until this point to were able to arrest them. So have their drugs likely contributed to a great deal of the misery we're seeing on our streets? I would have no doubt.
Thank you, Superintendent. Are there any other final questions?
Can we just confirm that the two arrested are in custody and where, next court date, stuff, fun stuff?
They are in custody, yes. So they would have been brought today to court, so I certainly haven't got back yet what the next court date would be.
That's helpful, thank you.
Just one more question. They were from Toronto and from Ottawa, but where did you get them?
The arrest and this was seized here in Ottawa. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a more specific area?
Area where they were arrested?
Yes.
One was arrested, what's the name of this? Off Mawadi Street in Ottawa. That's over by the Victoria Island area. The other person we actually intercepted on his way back to Toronto and was stopped in Belleville area.
Within the last 24 hours?
Within the last 24 hours, yes.
I believe we have time for one last follow-up question. Does anyone have one last follow-up question? No? Okay. So thank you all for attending today. This concludes our meeting. Je vous remercie de votre présence. Ceci conclut notre conférence aujourd'hui. A media press release will be following within the hour. Thank you.